And speaking of gray market substances, that brings me back to this Kratom. Kratom is not a gray market substance. It is, well, I mean, it technically kind of is. It's considered a supplement, thankfully, at this point, so it gives it a little bit more protection than the gray market substances that I more so have in mind. Uh, but this seven hydroxy mitragynine is it's an alkaloid of kratom, like like alkaloids in cannabis, whatever others or whatever. Seven hydroxy mitragynine is the main alkaloid. Seven hydroxy is the second most common alkaloid and the more potent opiate of the two. Mitragynine is a little more like uh, it has properties like a medication that they use for people uh, addicted to opiates called Suboxone or buprenorphine. So mitragynine is a what they call a partial agonist. It unlike full agonists like heroin, methadone, and most opiates, which that fully activate the receptors in your brain, specifically the what's called the mu receptor in your the mu opioid receptor. That's what's responsible for like euphoria and the pain relief and all those good and fuzzy, beautiful, great feelings that you get from opiate use. Partial agonists only, as in the name, partially activate those receptors. And mitragynine is so far, the only known organic, naturally occurring uh, partial agonist. So that in itself is pretty fucking, like, important. 7 hydroxy mitragynine is kind of in between. It acts as sort of a weak full agonist, but it does also. I mean, it's a partial agonist, but it also sort of behaves like a weak full agonist. Uh, so for what I don't know, there's not enough, there hasn't been enough like study done yet to like I guess support what I'm about to say, but at least from experience, taking kratom and Suboxone together does not induce what is known as precipitated withdrawal. When they're initiating you on Suboxone or buprenorphine, they will tell you to abstain from any sort of opiate for at the very least 12 to 24 hours. And it depends on the opiate. They usually say 12 to 24 because most opiates have a half life of around 4 to 6 hours. So by 12 to 24 hours, it's mostly out of your system. And you need it to be out of your system because if any of that is still kind of floating around in your brain and attached to your receptors, because buprenorphine Suboxone has what's called uh it has a higher affinity, which means it has like a higher, like, think of it like a magnetic attraction to the receptor in your brain. So it has like a much stronger attraction to that receptor than pretty much all opioids. So anything in that place, if you suddenly introduce Suboxone into the body while there's something still occupying those receptors, because of the affinity of buprenorphine, it will rip the other opiate out of the receptor and to replace it. But instead of replacing it, because it's not a full agonist itself, it will only partially activate it and put you into, and it'll send you into withdrawal, essentially. But with kratom, at least I suspect, and from just like seeing other people's experiences too, it seems that it being also a partial agonist, you can take them together. And so I know people and have like uh and have suggested to people that have been trying to get off opiates, tapered themselves down to a certain point or whatever, and tried to switch over to kratom, but need something that's like because kratom that's something that has a short half life. So you have to take it multiple times a day to stay a while. So sometimes people want to switch to like a low dose of Suboxone. So you only have to dose like once a day, once every other day. And the great thing about kratom is that if it was studied a little bit more, mitragynine was expanded on a little bit more. Maybe some analogs were developed that were also partial agonists. They would be really great adjuncts for helping people to just initiate with or just get started on Suboxone. Because the biggest issue with starting people with Suboxone is that 12 to 24 hour window. Just getting to that in itself is hard enough. Like for some people, they can't go more than 4 or 6 hours without a dose. It's some people are really bad, and so recently, I know I've talked about this in the past, but in 2018, one of the first studies came out of a Malaysian university where they finally isolated mitragynine out of the plant matter, out of kratom plant matter. And since then, they've also isolated 7-hydroxy mitragynine, and they've seemingly developed a way to make it synthetically on bulk scales to the point where now it's showing up in all over smoke shops and gas stations, and it's even getting banned in states. And it's becoming a problem to the point where the DEA is starting to take notice, and it's bringing negative attention to kratom again. There's been negative attention brought to kratom before. There have been scares in 2018, I think, too. There was a intent to like a notice of intent to schedule kratom, which thankfully was like there was protests that went on, and it was rescinded. But yeah, this is a little bit more. So this is a little more worrying because it's these are actual analogs now. These are full on gray market substances that are gonna start getting put on like scheduling lists, and then they're gonna start being traded on black market. So yeah, this so kratom and the 7-hydroxy problem.
Kratom plant.
It is advertised and sold under any form you can think of. Organic kratom powder, kratom teas, kratom extracts, products like feel-free shots that have become super controversial lately.
They're all that stuff that he's talking about. If it's not a powder, it's an extract, or if it's in pill form, off usually that can sometimes either be one or the other. There's also UEI, ultra enhanced indo, whatever, which is just regular powdered leaf that's been enhanced with extract powder, and that for the most part is fine. It's the 7-hydroxy isolate stuff and the what they call just pseudoindoxyl, I think is the name of the substance. But that is being sold in combination and in tablet form. And that is what's becoming a real problem right now.
And some products, like 7-OH pills, have
7-OH, 7-hydroxy. I don't know why the OH. It's supposed to be HO. But
become so controversial that the government is scheduling them next to crack and heroin in Schedule 1 drug classification.
They're putting them around schools, they're putting them in our poorest neighborhoods, and now...
Of course it's this motherfucker at the... Yeah, it's the last person we need doing this.
Now they're putting them in every gas station.
And completely glossing over the fact that kratom is a hugely useful tool for people that are trying to get off opiates. Like,
surprisingly, this isn't like a left versus right issue. It seems like pretty much everyone's pretty confused on how to deal with this stuff. Doctors, ERs, addiction centers. It's kind of a...
This much is actually very true. Back in about 2018, 2019, I was taking kratom Not not every day, but like a few times a week. Like it's kind of like sort of like my coffee every now and then. Like and I was kind of getting tired of it. Like cuz I noticed that especially like I'd go a few days without it, a few days with it, and the days without it, I'd have a couple days where I'd be fine, and then one day where I'd be kind of like, I feel like shit, and that the next day would be when I'd end up taking some more, and so I kind of started a little cycle of that, and I wanted to stop. And
Mystery to a lot of people.
Comparatively, as someone who's dealt with much more potent opioids and much worse withdrawal, kratom is nothing. And it's a fucking godsend for anybody who's trying to get off of opiates, like I said. And even when I went to India to kick heroin, yeah, I took kratom with me to India in my bag, and yeah, they checked it in customs. It was fine, and yeah, along with the MMA classes that I took, it was probably one of the easiest times I've ever had detoxing. And largely thanks to kratom.
How do we address kratom? Is it the next best thing, or is it the worst thing to happen to our country?
Again, God, I hate that I'm pausing so much, but the focus on kratom here is the wrong thing. It should be on how they're marketing 7-hydroxy products specifically, and the analogs, and what is coming out of them. I'm going to go after this and tell you even further stuff that
right
is even more recent. Like, as of maybe a few months ago, there's new analogs that have just come out.
Luckily, I actually know a lot about this subject, so we will answer damn near everything that everyone is talking about.
Okay, and I will be here to critique it.
An opioid, is it addictive? How addictive is it? How deadly is it? Can it be good for depression?
Not deadly at all. Can be addictive, but
or anxiety, all that. But on top of that, we can also cover what does it feel like? And if you get addicted, what do the withdrawals look like?
It's like typical opiate withdrawal for the most part. Maybe a little bit more drawn out by a few days at most. Like a typical opiate withdrawal is about, like the physical aspect at least, is about a week. Whereas the kratom is maybe about 10 days, a few more days worth. And it's just maybe a little more foggy in the mind. That much is more. But I mean, if it's the only withdrawal you've ever had experience with, it can be pretty shitty, sure. But if you've experienced any other type of opiate withdrawal or any other kind of withdrawal period, it's child's play.
I'm very excited for this episode, and let's begin.
Funny enough, if I have some kratom in my fucking drawer right over there.
Speciosa.
Yeah, Mitragina speciosa.
So, what is kratom?
Pronounce it correctly if you're gonna fucking say you know so much about this.
Kratom is this.
It's also pronounced correctly kratom, but for some reason, ever since it became big in the West, we decided to just start calling it kratom. But it's actually pronounced kratom. Just saying.
It's a leaf from a tree. That's it. It smells. It smells like green. It smells very similar to matcha. Actually, a lot of people say it smells like matcha.
Smells and tastes very much like matcha. It just much more bitter.
And I can smell it.
Extremely
bitter. So this tree,
bitter.
the kratom tree, is native to Southeast Asia.
Yes. And he just showed you two different types. That's. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I'm skipping too far. Come on, keep going. Right there. Okay, so that is a red vein, and you can see the red vein going down the middle of the stem. This is what they pick. So they call them strains. They're not really strains. What they are is really just the time that they pick them. They're the white strain, the white vein. There's white vein, green vein, and red vein. And then there's sub-strains that maybe we'll go into a little bit later. He might go into it. But, yeah, the red veins, I'll start with white. White veins have the lowest concentration generally of misogynin, and especially the lowest concentration of 7-hydroxymisogynin. They have a much higher concentration of other alkaloids that tend to be the more energizing ones, and that's why people that like bodybuilders and stuff, people that a lot of just people who do weight training and stuff will often take either white or green veins. Green Malay is a pretty popular one because it's a it's like a sort of in between red and white, and it's a decently good duration, whatever. Green vein, like I said, in between red and white. It's got a little bit of both. Got some decent pain relieving, some aspects or whatever, and it's decently energizing. Probably one of the more popular kinds, whatever. The red vein are definitely for if you're looking for pain relief. That's where the highest concentration of misogynin and 7-hydroxymisogynin are. And from there you get into the sub strains, whatever, like the brown or chocolate strains, which is just a fermented, basically fermented leaf. I don't know the process exactly. They keep it kind of tight-lipped how they do it. Most of this is, by the way, done in Indonesia. The plant itself is native to Thailand, but ironically, it's illegal in Thailand, even though it grows natively there. That goes back to way back in the Opium Wars. That's a whole nother story, but yeah.
Is native to Southeast Asia. Think of places like
Native to Thailand specifically.
Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and in a lot of those places, what they call it is Kratom. That's where we get the name Kratom from, a mispronunciation of
I'm just going to let him talk for
and
a
it
little
has been used in those cultures for generations, but in a very different way than the way we do it over here.
In Thailand, Indonesia, when you're chewing these things, you're chewing up like around 20 a day sometimes, just like constantly every like 40 minutes. You just pick one off the tree and chew it because you're just out there working in the rubber plantations all day long. It's hot.
So this is my friend Soren, and he would not call himself this, but he is like an actual Kratom expert. And while I was visiting him, he showed me that he actually had a very rare thing, which is a Kratom tree growing in his living room. And why that is
That is not that rare. You can actually order plants yourself and grow them.
so rare is because Kratom trees you really only find usually in Southeast Asia because they're very sensitive as far as humidity or as far as dynamics of temperature. Like they're kind of fussy, but he had one growing in his house. And so I thought, what a great way to start this video as demonstrating how Kratom is originally
They do take a very long time to grow though. Like you said, they are trees.
done for generations,
Like
where it's from.
Put it
Massive
in your
trees
cheek.
too.
Sort of like chew on it a little bit and let it in your cheek and sort of just kind of like slowly for the next like 2 minutes, like expressing saliva in and out of it.
Cheers.
It's a treat, chewing Kratom leaves.
It is. It's a special. Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's very bitter.
I find the leaves to be
It's kind of an acquired
Stimulating.
taste.
Yeah, stimulating. That's what I'm getting right now.
Yeah, stimulating. It was giving like try not to puke, really. It tastes bad. It tastes very bad.
Very, very bitter.
Bitter is shit. Maybe a little sour, like a weird, but
The reason people in Indonesia or Thailand chew on kratom is very similar to why people in Peru chew on coca leaves, or why in America we might drink coffee. It's kind of the thing that you do to help you operate through the day. Kratom is said in Southeast Asia to have stimulating or energizing effects while also being sedating at the same time.
Yeah.
And
In higher doses, it becomes more sedating. Yeah, in lower doses, that's one of the things that is kind of interesting about it. With most opiates, obviously, with any dose, the higher dose you get, the more sedating it's going to be. And no matter what, with most opiates, at just about any dose, it's got some level of sedation and whatever. For some reason, with kratom, it obviously because of some of the alkaloids in it, in lower doses, mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine don't have the the same impact to, I guess, overtake the effects, and so you get more of that energizing effect. And as you start stacking that, you eventually get more of the analgesic effect, more of the opiate effect, so more of the misogynine starts hitting that mu receptor in your brain. But I, because of that, I'm pretty sure because of it being a partial agonist, there's sort of a ceiling effect to it. So there's a point where you can only get so high off of it. Like after a point, you're just gonna throw up. Like you just get nauseous.
Also, help with your pain. So if you're working in the rubber fields or working a manual labor job where you have just body aches and pains, it will help you just gradually deal with the day and get through the day. But when Kratom came to America, it changed a lot. But do you know who hasn't changed a lot? Today's sponsor. Today's sponsor,
Hey,
Northspore.
I have used Northspore many times. I'm actually gonna let him.
This is actually a really cool one for me. I've been a fan of Northspore for literally years now. I remember learning how to grow in a mono tub.
Same.
Watching their
Hey, yeah, this guy and God, what was this? There's another guy who I really loved watching also, who I learned how to make mono or my first Martha tent with. But yeah, Northspore is really great. Yeah, I also learned how to make monotubs. I have one that looks just like this.
old YouTube video about how to grow in a mono tub. None of your business what I was growing in a mono tub.
Yeah.
I need a
Anyways,
sponsor. And he's like, yeah, I got you. Like, this is not a big corporation. Like, Matt, thank you so much, by the way. Thank you so much for helping me out. So click on the link in the description or just go to northspore.com and buy yourself stuff.
Yeah.
Tell them I sent you.
if you're into mycology, Northspore, baby.
Bye-bye. So when a lot of people started hearing about Kratom, including myself, it was around the 2010s. And it was kind of this nerdy internet Reddit thing. Like, it was like this, people would talk about it on forums about, oh, you know, it's this, you know, natural plant and all that. But it was kind of all over the place how people...
Yeah, at first it was kind of annoying to me how in denial people were about the potential for dependency on it. Like, if you so much as implied that you were even slightly dependent on it or felt like you were addicted to it, if you were in some sort of, like, I was in a lot of Kratom groups on Facebook, like, in the early 2010s, and just, like, if you so much implied, like I said, you could get kicked out of so many groups to the point where I got so annoyed with it where I started my own groups where I was like, I don't know. I tried to be really on it and encourage people to be more open, but kind of just wasn't happening. But eventually it happened on its own, little by little, because, you know, the reality of it is use anything enough, you're going to develop a dependency. And when it's something that's hitting your mu opioid receptor and you're doing it consistently, we just have all the scientific information in the world to know that is going to cause some sort of habit.
Talked about it and how it was advertised. You would have people say that it was very sedating, that it helped them sleep. Some people said that they used it for their anxiety or their depression. Yeah. And then some people would say it's really stimulating, like it's almost like coffee. People would say things like, well, it's in the Rubiaceae family.
Yeah, it just all depends on what kind you were taking. White, green, red. There's a yellow vein, gold vein, whatever. Those are substrains of the white and green. Yeah, so.
Which is where coffee is. So, like, it's related to coffee, which...
It is.
So is Ipecac from the Amazon rainforest. That's also in the Rubiaceae family. So, that doesn't really mean much, but okay. Yeah. But the really cool thing was, and this is a bit of an ethnobotany 101 type of thing, is what was happening with Kratom at this phase of this, we didn't know how to deal with it, is actually exactly what happens in every culture every time a new substance is introduced. It's like a phenomenon.
Okay, but this wasn't exactly a new substance. It was for here in the West, but this was not a new thing over in Indonesia and stuff. It's since the early 2000s at least, and especially since the 2010s, become a huge industry, especially in Indonesia particularly. There's one guy that I've known since at least 2011 now. I'm still in contact with, and since then has had the same Kratom business. Yeah.
happens is when you introduce a new plant drug or a substance, whatever, to a
And real quick, the reason it was first made illegal in Thailand was because it was interrupting the opium trade at the time, which the fucking British tea company or whatever and shit, they had obviously a monopoly on. And because at the time China was trying to get control of their opioid crisis, they tried to ban it, and people there was the same issues with opium use going on in Thailand and stuff too, and so people started using kratom to try and get off of the opium, and they eventually started passing legal legislation to ban kratom in the country where it grows naturally. So it's kind of it was kind of stupid because it's literally impossible to do.
culture that hasn't been exposed to it yet. The culture doesn't know how to use it yet. One of my favorite examples is this is actually with methamphetamine and like Adderall and like amphetamine class of drugs. Amphetamines were invented.
And I don't know about that because look, in Africa, there's a plant called khat, 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 and the main alkaloid in that is cathinone. Cathinone is only a few molecules off from amphetamine. They have very, very similar effects. And on the gray market and the black market, the vast majority of stimulants are cathinone analogs.
In the early 1900s, and when they were first invented, they were used for a million things. Narcolepsy, depression, asthma medication. Sometimes they would use them as congestion, like there's like nasal sprays that have speed in them that helps people with their congestion when they're sick. They even tried to use it to treat alcoholism, and then it slowly...
Heroin at the same time was also, well, it was diacetylmorphine. It was invented by the Bayer Aspirin Company. But yeah, it was also marketed at this time.
changed, and then it became, oh, we're gonna use meth and amphetamine for like weight loss stuff, and for decades it was used as weight loss medication. And then finally, we in our culture have settled into the point where amphetamines are kind of seen as this medication for people with ADHD, right? Why did I say it like that? ADHD. ADHD. It's kind of weird. But do you see the similarities with Kratom? It's new to our culture. We don't really know exactly how to use it because just like all substances, you can use it in a lot of different ways. As we'll examine and I'll show you, it can be sedating. It can be used for withdrawal from opioids. It can be used for pain. It can be fun. So yeah, let's try.
As can all drugs. This applies to all substances.
Some.
Well, the effects part, not so much, but the fun part, yes.
So I want to show how Kratom has been done progressively over time, right? We started out with just the fresh leaf, the way that has been done for literally hundreds of years in Asia, right? And now we're going to do this next generation, this stuff from the 2010s, and it still exists today. And how they used to do it and how I got introduced to doing it is this. This is powderized Kratom. They just took the leaf and then they made it into a powder.
It's the best way to do it, honestly, because if any other way is very difficult, and making tea is not very good. There's a technique called toss and wash, where you just kind of hold a little bit of liquid in your mouth, you weigh out your dose, and some people use a paper plate, or some people just use a piece of paper folded and just kind of funnel it in their mouth and push around and swallow. Or you can, pack it into pills. You can get the triple O size pills, kind of the biggest ones you can get. I don't know if there's a quadruple O. There is, but the triple O's, they'll hold about a half gram each. So you can do that, and that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah.
Fine powder similar to matcha. Now you'd think that doing the fresh leaf and then just drying it and then powderizing it wouldn't change much, right? It's the exact same thing.
Makes
nothing
big
added
difference,
to this, right? Well, this is actually very different than doing the fresh stuff. And one of the biggest reasons why that is the case is because you can do a lot more with this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why...
Yeah, well, more of it is, it has been crushed up, and so when you take it, more of that of the alkaloids in the leaf itself are accessible to your gut and stuff when it gets in there. Whereas when it's just leaf or like crushed leaf or just a tea, you're not getting all of those alkaloids because not all of those alkaloids are water soluble. So like some, especially like when you get those extracts and stuff too, a lot of them are they have alcohol in them too because they use alcohol in the extraction process to get a more full spectrum like product and shit. But yeah,
I said, Kratom, when it got to the States, changed a lot. Just this small change, you basically have a new substance. New problems started to arise from this. You started to have people who would start out at an ordinary dose, which is around 2 to 3 grams, okay? But then they might get into a habit of doing it every night, and then their tolerance goes up. Now they need 6 grams. Now they need 8 grams.
And the thing, once you get to 5+ grams, you're really getting a negative returns. Because at that point, you're not getting more effect. You're pretty much just putting more plant material in your stomach, and ultimately, like you're just kind of gonna constipate yourself, and you're still gonna your tolerance is gonna keep going up, even though you're not getting more effects. So, like, the best thing to do in that case, at least from my experience and from talking with others at least, it rotates strains. You don't want to stick with the same strain constantly because like it's like I don't know. It seems like if you're taking the same, say okay, the one of the more common ones is red barley. If you're just taking nothing but red barley for an extended period of time, you're gonna obviously build a tolerance to that specific alkaloid profile that red barley has. Whereas then, if you then switch to red hulu capwas tends to have a higher concentration of 7-hydroxy. So the alkaloid concentrations kind of differ around. So it's good to kind of rotate your strains, and it kind of keeps your it keeps your tolerance kind of on the fly a little bit. So you can at least have a little bit more manageability for it on it with whatever shit. But yeah, I've heard of people taking upwards of like 12 grams at a time and shit, and like taking like an ounce a day. And insanity. Like, there's really no point to be taking more than 5-6 grams tops at a time. Like, if you're taking more than 10-12 grams in a day, you should start looking into tapering.
It wouldn't be uncommon sometimes for some people to take like 28 grams. I've heard of people taking 50 grams every day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of powder, by the way. That is an insane amount of powder.
It's
and one of the most famous
ridiculous.
cases of this was actually the YouTuber Psych Substances.
This guy I have covered so many times.
A guy that a lot of us grew up with. He talked about drug safety and harm reduction on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then you saw him try Kratom on video. And he started out like everyone does, like, oh my god, this stuff is awesome, like I use it, like I forgot all the stuff he claimed, but you know, he was a big proponent for it. It helped him a lot in that point of his life. But then as time passed, his videos started to be, oh, maybe this stuff isn't so great. And then he started to go video after video of, oh my god, like I'm addicted, oh my god, I relapsed, oh my god, it's ruining my life, oh my god.
Yeah, I think he went a little too hard on blaming the drug, because it wasn't just Kratom. There was also a lot of amphetamine use that he admitted to using. He was clearly overusing psychedelics, clearly, just by watching his videos, and not for strictly educational purposes like he claims and whatever. He's gotten significantly better over time, especially in recent days. Like critiquing some of his recent videos have been less painful for sure than some of his videos from, say, 3-4 years ago even. But yeah, Psych Substance has come quite a long way for sure.
It's ruining like my marriage and like all of this stuff, and it was pretty public, it was pretty scary. And a lot of the time he would blame Kratom on a lot of his life problems, and it was because
Kratom and drugs in general. But yeah, And that's one of the things that really irked me about his videos for a while. But like I said, he's gotten a little better.
He was addicted to it, and he truly was. And this is not the throw
Definitely.
shade. I think he's grown a lot on his stance on this, and he doesn't really blame the
Cool.
powder anymore. He like takes
I'm good. I'm glad he's giving him his props here
some
too.
accountability on himself and all that kind of stuff. I'm not here to throw shade, nothing but love for him.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
But he is not
Good.
alone.
Good.
I've also been addicted to this.
We're on the same page.
I've been doing Kratom for like
Same.
probably close to 4 or 5 years now, and for the most part, I have a healthy relationship to it. But
Yeah.
it wasn't a month ago that I was doing 7-OH pills like every single night, and I
Yeah,
went through.
those are what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me see. I want to see if they say pseudo and doxyl on them. The hydroxy, 7-hydroxymitragynine. There's gonna be one here that says pseudo somewhere, I'm sure. 15 milligrams per capsule. Opia. I know this one for. I know this brand. This one for a fact has pseudo and doxyl in it. Huh. Well, yeah. But yeah, these are definitely how you get yourself addicted to to kratom. Or at least one of the alkaloids in it.
And I went through withdrawal, and you're about to see my withdrawal later in the video.
Yeah, okay, so this is a little bit different. 7-hydroxy withdrawal is much more like a traditional opiate withdrawal because it's more like a full agonist. Like they're 7-hydroxy withdrawal or 7-hydroxymitragynine doesn't have that same ceiling effect that mitragynine has, where after a certain point you just can't get any higher. With 7-hydroxy, you will eventually nod the fuck out and like throw up because you're so high, and you could potentially definitely overdose especially if you're mixing it with things.
But now I have a pretty healthy relationship. I think I've done Kratom one time in the last month. That's just what life is, Sometimes you drink alcohol a little bit too often. You get a habit of having a glass of wine every single night, and then life gets better, and then you don't do it because you don't need it as much. And then,
and I've said this before. I've said this to so many people. Like, sobriety is it's a weird term because I mean, even in like AA, NA, and stuff, when you're in there, they said we don't say we're sober here. We say we're clean or whatever. And even that term, I don't like because that kind of implies that we were dirty at one point. And no, but people who are on methadone assisted treatment or Suboxone, whatever, they can choose whether or not to take the you get chips at your NA meetings where for how long you've been sober, whatever. The white one is your 1-day chip. Goes all the way to like black, which is like 6 years and shit. Yeah, but you could choose to take whether or not. Some people take it. I personally didn't. It just didn't feel right with me because I still felt like I'm not like. In my mind, sobriety, the definition is not dependent on any substance at all. Like, you're able to get up in the morning and just go. You don't need something to function, some kind of external thing to function. You can just get up and go. Do your day. Do your thing. Like, yeah. But if there is something that you need in order to function, then at the very least, it's a dependency. Like, and the difference between dependency and addiction, there's always a debate between that, like whether or not they're even the same. They're the same thing, or they can be differentiated between. Like, that's for another day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I was getting at.
you
I'm
might
just
get
gonna let him
back
keep
into
going.
it and then might go
Yeah.
out of it.
Oh yeah, I was saying that just sobriety is not, I think, a realistic thing for every addict, for all people. I think just for some people, there's, like you said, there's just gonna be some level of use that you're just gonna find. That some of us are gonna find a comfortable middle ground with. Like, it's like trying to teach kids about sex through abstinence. It's we know for a fact that does not work, and we should know by now, having had Dare before. Like, we know where that went, but then again, we're literally starting Dare all over again and refunding it. So,
It might get really bad. This is life, and it's really not the powder's fault or the alcohol's fault. It's you.
Yeah.
You got to take accountability.
Yes.
It's on you. But this does answer
love
one of
that.
our questions. Is Kratom addictive?
Can be.
It depends on the person, but yep, it definitely can be. Most people barely like it, but to certain people, it is very appealing. And to show how appealing it can be and what benefits it can give to some, let me try Kratom. After I let some full-grown men choke me out at jiu-jitsu practice.
Yeah, okay.
It's for science.
Oh, great.
My body hurts. And I
but-
had a lot of people try to break my arms today. Hold on, let me take a shower. Oh my god. With just doing jiu-jitsu, I have just aches and pains all over my body. My left toe hurts. I have a major kink in my neck that I've had for weeks. So I'm gonna show you how I
Take
have
some
done
Red
Kratom
Vein.
in the past and continue to do Kratom. Right here we have
What
6
is it?
grams of powder. Okay.
I'm curious to know what kind of powder, though. Is it a red vein? Green vein? So 6 grams, right? That tells me you have not a big tolerance, but enough of a tolerance. Because somebody with no tolerance, you're good on 2 or 3 grams. 6 grams would make you puke if you had no tolerance.
I'm going to put it in this glass. You get a drink of your choice, and you mix it in. You don't want to mix too
Yeah, this is my least favorite way to do it. Honestly, the best thing to use is something like coffee, or especially a hot liquid, because then it very easily stirs in. For some reason, with cold liquids, it'll it just doesn't want to mix for some reason.
too much because the more you mix in, the more you have to drink. And this stuff is gross. When I get that feeling, I want sexual heat. There are many
See how it's kind of sticking to the side of the glass, how
methods
it's
to
really
do this,
weird.
by the
I
way.
don't know
There's
why.
the toss and wash. There's
Toss and wash.
people will put them in capsules and just take the capsules, but you kind of have to take a lot of capsules to get a dose.
Oh, unless you use the triple O's.
I just do this. It's gross as hell, but it gets the job done.
I'm telling you, man, gotta learn toss and wash. It's the easiest way, and you don't even taste it.
Now we're gonna drink.
Barely do.
Cheers.
That's so funny. I've personally found, obviously because of this, I have found ways to make it decently palatable. You have to use a lot of chocolate for one method at least. A lot of chocolate milk mix will definitely help, but you don't want to mix them in together. You make the chocolate milk first, so that all the milk mix is dissolved into the milk or whatever. It's good to warm it up, and then you throw in your fucking kratom. It could also help to get a smaller cup so that you get your chocolate milk and pour it into the smaller cup with the kratom, so that you don't have to drink a full ass glass of whatever. But what makes it actually even more palatable, oddly enough, coffee, which it's related to. Coffee with very healthy amount of coffee creamer, especially if it's flavored. Yeah, lots of sugar, creamer, and some milk, and that'll pretty much do it. And it's really not bad. But yeah. Otherwise, orange juice. Orange juice is probably the only other thing I can think of that you can just kind of pull out of your fridge, pour it with it, and I don't know if it's something about the acidity in it, but it mixes in pretty easily, and you can just chuck that down, and the orange does a pretty good job of covering the flavor. So I don't know why the fuck he used Arizona, like in peach Arizona too. Of like, ew, God, it's really bad with Arizona. Ugh,
That's fucking foul.
it is.
Oh,
You should have used orange juice, bro.
Every time. Now we wait about an hour. Hey, sisters, it's bedtime.
Hour? Really? For you? Oh, it depends. If you take it on an empty stomach, which is usually the way you want to go, or as close to an empty stomach as possible, it'll hit you within 15 to 30 minutes or so. But if you've eaten, yeah, it might take closer to an hour. But also, if you've eaten, it's gonna dampen the effect too. That's another thing with kratom. So.
For me, but it's been an hour and I'm feeling it. I've felt this about a million times, but it really does feel pretty much the same every time.
It's very gentle at first.
Feel very relaxed, very, I guess, a sense of peace for me. All aches and pains that I feel in my body are greatly reduced. I mean, the kinks in my neck are almost gone. But these effects that I feel are actually
I'm guessing
quite
they were
subtle.
red vein.
So I do not feel like my mental processes are any different. The way I often describe it is it feels like a warm comfort blanket. It feels almost like you're cuddling someone you care about type of thing. And to clarify, that's what I feel, right? A lot of people do not feel.
I would, for somebody who could really, really have trouble trying to kind of conceptualize it, it's sort of like a very, very light buzz, like when you're drunk, like a very light buzz, but warm, without the cognitive fogginess. And yeah, it's close to that.
Feel that, but for me, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready for bed. I have a little
It's like a warm
kombucha,
fuzziness to it.
some goat cheese and crackers.
Gross.
I'm kind of reminded why I do get addicted to this stuff, because this feeling, like, you just get so used to.
It's hitting your mu opioid receptors, which is what's responsible for that euphoria, and that's largely what gets people. That's the real hook for opiates.
Just like wanting this feeling every night, you know, just like, oh, I had a good day, I trained good, I did a lot of hard work, like I treat myself to this, and now I just feel like, oh, what a great way to end the night, right? But nothing is for free in this world.
Nope.
Okay, it's nerdy time. It's time to.
That's why I like to call drugs cheat codes for life, but specifically cheat codes for emotion.
Talk about the pharmacology, and you guys are going to love
Hey,
this.
this
We're
is gonna
explain
be my
exactly
favorite
what
part
was
for sure.
happening
I love pharmacology.
in my body, why I felt those things. We're gonna learn a lot about how drugs act in your body. You're gonna love this.
He's probably gonna repeat a lot of what I said earlier. So I guess get ready to get some info really hammered into your brain.
So first things first, as far as ethnobotany and like plant drugs, kratom is honestly one of the most chemically complex plants that I can think of.
Yeah, it's up there with cannabis for sure.
Has like well over 50 compounds that
Cannabis has hundreds.
do completely different things in the body. There's serotonergic activity, there's adrenergic activity, there's opioid action, all within this one plant, and you don't need to know what any of that means. Basically, this one plant.
You don't, but it helps. Adrenergic is where the energy stuff comes from. And what was the other thing you said?
Completely different things in the body. There's serotonergic.
Serotonergic. That's where a lot of that mood lift comes from. Psychedelics they are serotonin. They're serotonergic. That means they release serotonin. And if you've ever tripped on anything, yeah, that serotonin obviously causes a lot of emotional things. And in Kratom, obviously, causes a lot of that mood lift that you get, which is intensified, or at least potentiated by the mu receptor activity.
Activity. There's adrenergic activity. There's opioid action, all within this one plant, and you don't need to know.
What does it specifically say about opioid activity there? Kratom, the current state of evidence, blah blah. It doesn't specify, but yeah, it does hit
all within this one plant.
All the traditional opioid receptors.
Basically, this one plant does a lot of stuff in your body, and it's very complex. Yeah. But there is one compound in it that you should know that does most of the heavy lifting, and that is called mitragynine.
Mitragynine.
Mitragynine is actually technically an opioid, but we call it an atypical opioid. And this is where we need to zoom out a little bit and talk about opioids and receptors and how they act in the body, so we can
Another atypical opioid? Tramadol. It's a pharmaceutical one.
Understand what's so weird and atypical about mitragynine.
Yeah, tramadol, by the way, also serotonergic.
So opioids are a class of medication or drugs that treat pain by acting on the opioid receptors in our body.
Called
and there are 3
analgesics.
opioid receptors you should really know.
Mu, kappa, and delta.
There's kappa, there's delta, and the mu opioid receptors. And you don't need to memorize all 3, but all you need to know is that the mu one, that one is the one that we associate most with, like, the opioid feel, like the relaxation, the euphoria, the pain relief.
Oh, the shit I was saying.
Opioid feel.
There you
now,
go.
the way that typical opioids work in our body, and these are things like fentanyl, heroin, morphine, oxy, Percocet, right?
All things he mentioned are full agonists, unlike mitragynine, which is a partial agonist. But I don't think he's going to get into that.
The way they work is that when they enter our body, they are opioid receptor agonists.
Oh,
and
he
what
is.
That word agonist means is that when it gets to the opioid receptor, the mu opioid receptor, it binds with it and says, hey, do your thing, right? Release the chemicals you need to release, do whatever it needs to do. I don't even really know. That's when
Decent ELI 5.
an agonist is. And the opposite of an agonist is an antagonist, and that's actually
Naloxone. And naltrexone, which is the long-acting form of naloxone. Narcan is naloxone.
what Narcan is, or naloxone. It actually does the opposite. So when it binds to the receptors, it tells the receptor,
I got Narcan
hey,
right over
stop.
there.
Like mu receptors, stop doing what you're doing immediately. And that's why it saves.
No, what it does is it pulls whatever opioids are attached to the receptor out. Is what it does.
People's lives, because if someone's overdosing on fentanyl or heroin or whatever, they'll be like going out, and because they have too much agonism of the mu opioid receptor, and this will actually kick that drug off and say, hey, stop. And that's an antagonist. But there's a third option, and that's what we call a partial agonist.
Nice.
Now, what a partial
he is
agonist
getting
does
into it.
is kind of exactly what you'd think. It binds to the receptor, but it doesn't say go full blown or stop. It says, okay, do your thing, but don't do it too much, right? And that's exactly what mitragynine is. It's a partial mu opioid receptor agonist. That's a crazy string of words, but now you understand what every word in that means. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and even better, hopefully, with my additional information.
And why the fact that it's a partial agonist is so cool is because, let's say you're getting high on mitragynine, on kratom, right? And you're feeling the ooh, I'm feeling
I think he's
this
about to get
opioid
into
high.
the ceiling
And
effect.
you say, ooh, I want to get higher. And so you take
he is.
more, right?
Yep.
Well, with heroin and fentanyl and all the typical opioids, you just take more and you'll get higher. But the problem is if you keep going, you overdose, you die, because you'll become so relaxed, you'll literally suffocate. Your breathing will become so depressed, you'll stop breathing.
Because there's another thing, beta arrestin receptors, that gets overly saturated, and that's what causes you to stop breathing.
Right? But with a partial...
And recently, there's been substances developed. They're calling them the SR compounds, for now, at least, that seem to not have action on the beta arrestin system, so don't cause respiratory suppression. Those are some pretty promising looking substances that are already being tested.
agonist, you don't get to. You can try, but the fact that it's a partial agonist will stop you from trying to get too high. It's like having like a mom, like you can have fun, but don't have too much fun, and it'll like slap out of your hand, like no more. That's just
you'll just
built
throw
into
up.
the drug's chemistry. Like that's sick. But this is also why we call mitragynine and kratom as an atypical opioid. It doesn't act the same as other opioids. It has a bit of like a limiting thing.
I wonder if he's going to
Keeps you
talk about
safe.
seven
I
hundred.
just
Oh,
learned there's
of course
actually
he's
a
going to.
proper term for this phenomenon called the ceiling effect in pharmacology.
Ceiling, yeah, see, there you go, the ceiling effect.
The ceiling effect is exactly what we're talking about. You can really only get so much of a response, and then it caps out. There's a ceiling. Kind of cool.
And if you've ever heard of like Suboxone clinics, like people who are getting
Yeah, Suboxone, exactly what I was just talking about earlier. Also has that same ceiling effect.
off of hard opioids like heroin or fentanyl or whatever pills, they will give them Suboxone, which is it's a blend medication. But Suboxone is a partial agonist.
Well, not Suboxone. Buprenorphine is the partial agonist. Yeah, and the reason it's mixed with naloxone antagonist is so that people don't abuse it, because there's another form of it called Subutex that's just buprenorphine on its own, and that can be abused. People will dissolve it and inject it, and you can get an actual high from that. Methadone is another one that's obviously used for substance abuse to help people get off, and that's a full agonist. But the reason that they're used is because of the long half-life. So you only have to use them once a day, if that. Some people can go longer, and it just allows people to kind of get back into civilization and just live normal lives. But without a working healthcare system, you can only go so far.
It's a partial agonist, but yet kratom is literally just a natural version of a partial agonist.
See, this is why I was so excited about it talking earlier. See, he's getting excited about it too.
So what I'm telling you is that Suboxone, these clinics that people, it's so exhausting to go to. It can be cost prohibitive. It can be hard to find one near you, right? People will drive out of their way to go to the Suboxone clinic to keep themselves from going through withdrawal. Kratom can literally do that for you at home. Now, I'm not saying that kratom can replace Suboxone. I'm not a doctor. I don't know enough about this.
No. They can be used in conjunction. And I have talked to my doctor extensively about this. So
also reasons for Suboxone to be better. Like, for example, Suboxone has a higher affinity to the opioid receptor.
that's what I was saying.
It's so there's reasons. What I am saying is that the timing of kratom and when it came to America is almost divine. Here you have America going through this opioid crisis where there's tons of people hooked on opioids.
It's really not divine. It was kind of like inevitable, honestly. It was already a decently known thing, because back in the early 2000s, what's it called? The pods from poppy plants, the dried pods were a big thing that you could just buy off the ClearNet. You could literally just go on Etsy and buy poppy pods, and people would buy them and make tea out of it. And that's around the same time that kratom was also starting to get introduced and stuff. And so it was also around the same time that oxycodone was being mass prescribed to people, and the epidemic, the whole opioid crisis, was getting its start. So, I mean, it's only natural that once the government started cracking down, people started getting cut off from their prescriptions. They either started switching to heroin, or they got lucky and happened to stumble on kratom. And just little by little, obviously word spread. People don't want to go from oxycodone to heroin, and they see, oh look, this natural alternative that's like not only cheaper too, but I can get it in massive bulk. It literally has like vitamins A through K and shit in there. I mean, in every way, a better alternative than obviously street heroin. So, in my opinion, just inevitable. I don't think there's anything divine about it or fucking. Yeah.
And they feel like there's no way out for a million reasons.
People
but
were
then this
gonna
plant
find
comes.
something. Like, seriously, in the same way that back in the opium wars, people were using kratom to try and get out of having to use opium. Same shit, just 200 years later.
That acts on the opioid receptor, can help them with withdrawals, can help them get off, and that's exactly what happened. People got off hard opioids, got off heroin because of kratom. A lot of people counter this by saying, well, a lot of these people just got hooked on kratom, so they just replaced another addiction, so is it really that great?
Well, that's what people would say about people on methadone and Suboxone too. What's the fucking difference, right? And then I'm sure that's exactly what he's about to say.
And I respond to that as, fuck yes. So you're right. Many people got off opioids using kratom and now just like use kratom. But the major difference is that the people who are now hooked on kratom no longer have to worry about their drug of choice being cut with something that will randomly kill them. They no longer have to worry about overdoses because it's a partial agonist. They don't have to worry about getting so high that they can't operate basic functions in the day because it's a partial agonist. You can only get so high. Yeah. So it single-handedly saved many people's lives that could have overdosed but didn't. Now to clarify, everything I'm talking about is with powdered kratom. It is. I'm not even including the stuff that we're about to talk about.
Okay.
But as
now
we
we're
tend
gonna
to
get
do
into
in
the
West,
meat.
we took this kratom plant and we made it even more addictive. And thus,
not the plant, it's alkaloids. Just like, I mean, we've done the same with cannabis now too. We have all of these different analogs of THC, HHC, THCP, like
we enter
Delta
the
8
next
THC.
stage of kratom consumption.
Yeah.
Which
Here we go.
I'm going to go
Extracts.
get it right now.
Oh. Nice.
What's up, bro? Could I get one feel-free shot?
Oh, well, feel free.
Yep. Thank you so much, bro.
What's up, man? Take care.
You too.
Good luck.
Thanks. When kratom extracts like OPMS or MIT or feel-free shots came on the scene, it not only changed the kratom industry pretty quickly, but also it had a pretty big impact on smoke shops and gas stations across the country.
Big time.
It used to be that if you wanted to do kratom, you had to get powder from a very specific smoke shop that you knew that had it, or you went online to get it, and then you'd have to know how to work with this green powder stuff, which scared off a lot of regular people. But when these little shots that were kratom, but were concentrated into this little 5-hour energy type of package, regular people who had no idea what kratom was just picked them off the shelf and gave it a try.
This is the same way that bath salts got their thing. Bath salts, by the way, are exactly what I was talking. They're what I was mentioning earlier. The khat plant in Africa with cathinones. Bath salts were all just different kinds of cathinones. Specifically, I think a lot of them were N-ethylhexadrone. There's a lot of hexadrone. There's a lot of 3-MMC, which is mephedrone, and ethylone. I think it's methylone, one of that, which is kind of similar to MDMA. But yeah, no, that was bath salts. And those were, gray market drugs too.
The most fucked up drink you can buy at a gas station, a lot of people don't realize this, I think it's worse than lean, and that's called Feel Free.
3 years ago, I unknowingly spiraled into a severe addiction to an herbal tonic called Feel Free.
Yeah. All these people, like, it's their first experience with addiction, and while, yes, it is a generally mild addiction comparatively, if it's your first one and you've never had to deal with any sort of withdrawal, opiate withdrawal is one hell of one to have to deal with for the first time.
Hi guys, my name is Jasmine.
Yeah.
I was addicted to the little blue bottles.
And if you're like misled by like posting shit online with people who just don't want to be, who are just straight up in denial about the fact that there can be a dependence to something, even if it's natural and it may have gotten you out of a horrible situation like heroin addiction. This shit happens. And people just always run to blaming the substance and never taking accountability for their own actions. Like, at the end of the day, You're the one that kept doing this. Like, if you knew at a point you were addicted, that's when you take action. Like, yeah.
Feel free.
This shit is being called gas station heroin.
Oh god, I have to try really hard not to be upset.
Yeah, me too, bro. Me too.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah,
What
it's
made
not their
extract
fault.
such a game changer was not
It's
only
not their
the
fault.
fact that it was
No, it's their fault, but it's kind of also not their fault.
exposing
Yeah.
Kratom to a whole bunch of people who were not drug nerds anymore. That was problem number one.
Yeah.
The bigger problem was something that actually, if you knew Kratom at that time, we already kind of knew, which was you don't play with extracts if you do Kratom powder. The reason being is
You don't play with extracts, period, of anything. It's a much more highly concentrated form of whatever. And if you're trying to not develop a habit on something, what you don't want to do is introduce an extremely more potent form of the thing that you don't want to develop a habit from.
the Kratom extracts, and I talked about this in my first video that blew up 2 years ago. They fuck your tolerance. And mind you, these
Yeah.
do not have
Skyrocket
any
it.
molecule that's really different than Kratom. It's still mostly mitragynine, but it is so
It's 7-hydroxymitragynine, and that little hydroxy group attached in the 7 ring on the carbon atom of the mitragynine, whatever, makes a huge difference. Not a little thing. It is a huge difference, my man.
so much mitragynine packed into a small package that people lose track of how many times they're fucking chugging these things,
That
often
too.
leading to dependence, addiction, and eventually withdrawal. But this
Yeah.
is not unique to Kratom in the slightest bit, and I actually have a 100-year-old book shows a very good point. This is a book about the Peruvian coca plant, which is where we get cocaine from.
Oh, okay.
In
Damn, I was really hoping it'd be something like from Thailand about Kratom.
the book, he talks about when coca leaves were first introduced into Europe, there was like these studies of, oh, it's kind of interesting, and then it was also sold as just actual leaves in some drug shops. But then he says eventually, quote, coca soon declined until disuse almost left it in forgetfulness. People thought it wasn't interesting enough until they found cocaine in it. And all of a sudden,
No, it's until they isolated cocaine hydrochloride.
coca's the new, oh my gosh. Translation, when we had the plant, everyone was like, yeah, this is kind of fun, but it's all right.
Again, concentration of the substance. It's always there.
Leading to healthy, moderate use. But then once they made an extract out of it, cocaine,
Yeah.
the rest is history. Now we're sucking people's gas stations to get it. Anyways, let's give this a shot, and I have a special
Or more accurately, once they extracted the cocaine, isolated it. Yeah.
guest that you guys will love. Mic check, say something.
But
Say something.
Say more things.
hold on. So, to be fair, if you want to develop useful medications that can eventually then be patented and used in medicine, you do have to kind of isolate things. Like, the only way that we even got morphine and stuff is because we isolated it out of opium. Like, the only two organic opiates that we still use are codeine and morphine, naturally occurring in opium. And heroin is just one little simple process away. You just react the morphine with a certain precursor, and you get yourself diacetylmorphine. All right. And then, oxycodone, that was derived from thebaine, which is another alkaloid in opium, but it's not psychoactive, kind of like CBD in cannabis. And also like CBD in cannabis, they developed what is it? THC? Is it Delta 8 that they made CBD out of? I think so. But yeah, they're doing all this stuff now with all the different alkaloids of kratom. I don't think he's gonna get into the MGM compounds, but I wonder if he'll touch on pseudo and doxo.
Say more things.
You're annoying.
I'm annoying. Peanut butter sandwiches.
I'm cutting you off.
Oh.
This is the Grand Poobah, my mom.
I don't think that sounds very complimentary.
The Grand Poobah? I had to look up if it was racist. It's not racist.
Oh, well, that's good. That's always good to check
What does the
that.
Grand
Sorry.
Poobah mean?
I honestly don't
MGM
know.
I think it's just
15.
like the boss man.
Oh, okay. Well, I like.
All right, so look at MGM 15. This is pretty new. Yeah, I'll look at that in a second. All right, so MGM 15 is a synthetic opioid derivative of 7-hydroxymitragynine, 7-HO, or 7-OH, whatever. Alkaloid found in kratom. It has not been approved for human consumption by the FDA, but it is already primarily marketed as a research chemical, or AKA a designer drug. Already on the gray market. Structure MGM 15 is produced from the chemical reduction of 7-hydroxymitragynine. Its semi-synthetic nature allows for modifications that can affect its binding affinity, potency, and duration of action compared to naturally occurring kratom alkaloids. And its activity is shown to have a higher potency than... Wow. And 7-hydroxymitragynine is already... I think it's like 7 times more potent than morphine. So I mean, it's already a pretty potent opiate in its own right, and strong binding affinity to both mu and delta opioid receptors. In mouse studies, MGM15 was also found to be more potent than morphine in producing antinonceptive. That means pain relieving effects, particularly when administered orally. Yeah. So, despite its potent opioid activity, it has not undergone human studies and emerging on unregulated markets. Yeah. So, 7-hydroxy does have some studies done on it. So, there's at least some information about its safety in human use. MGM15 is literally so new that we don't know shit yet about it. But it's already being sold. In tablet and powder form in the U.S., typically labeled as a research chemical to circumvent regulations. Yeah. That's how they do it. So, yeah, in September 2020, literally this month, analysis of commercially available 115 label tablets found them to contain an average of 10.9 milligrams. Damn. Only 10 milligrams. With no other naturally occurring alkaloids. So, I mean, at least it's clean. Like, it's not like people aren't buying it cut with, fentanyl or any other crap. But, no, it looks like there is some research being done. Oh my god. I think I actually... Oh, and this is a review of somebody who actually bought some. My god. What the? Okay, so they're out right now, but literally this is 99% isolate? What the fuck? I just googled this and it just pops. This product is unavailable for purchase in the following. Okay, so there's already legislation for it, and god damn. Arizona, Colorado, Nevada. Wow. They got on this one pretty quick. Holy shit. And pretty sure these are California. Okay. So wait. Are there places in California where it's certain zip codes in Cali where it's not illegal? And Illinois and New Hampshire? There's one zip code in New Hampshire where it's illegal. Huh. Wow. In case of an issue with your order, please take video initial opening, weighing and removal, tamper-proof. Huh. They have sulfate and sodium forms of it? They already have a long duration and immediate release version of it. That's insane. Okay. My god. And this is 2 grams of MGM15 just landed. Might make my first MGM15 brew. Was supposed to yesterday, but got my pack today. From PS. What's PS? Is that what I just closed? No. I wonder what PS is. If you know, you know. I'm sure I'll find out eventually. It's too many people that are already falling onto this because. What the fuck? There's an MGM 16? 10 what? It's a fluorinated form of 7? Okay, so fluorinated compounds. Okay, again, I'll say, in my experience at least, when you fluorinate a compound, it makes it so much more potent. Either way more potent or, like, just add something to its effects. Like, 2-FTCK, which is a fluorinated form of ketamine. Its own thing. 2-FMA, which is 2-fluoromethamphetamine, is like it's like Vyvanse. Okay, people really like that one because it's more of like a it's more like Adderall. It's very what do you call it? A very functional stimulant. It's not very recreational at all. But anyways.
No, but like in an ironic bad way.
Oh.
You've had versions of this before.
I have?
I remember that powder, and then you called me a pussy because I was like, this tastes gross, and you're like, it's not that bad.
I really don't think I would call myself.
Yeah. My mom loves Kratom too, to be honest. But she also takes other things, so for medication wise. And the Kratom is helpful every now and then, obviously, because
I swear to God, you verbatim, you called me a pussy.
it gives energy.
I swear to God, you did.
Well, it's not recorded, so
It didn't happen. She's
No.
never tried this ever.
Am I gonna like it? Am
The
I gonna
feeling or the taste?
Am I gonna sleep? Yeah, the taste. I've given up on it being good. Do I not
She
need
knows.
to take my melatonin tonight?
It might
No.
help you get to sleep. It might help you get to sleep. The quality of sleep might be reduced, but it'll help you get to sleep. So it is. Have you seen these before?
Nope.
You've never heard of them. Feel
Nope.
free. So
No.
this is the new like thing that everyone's like, this is ruining America. Like it's like these feel free shots. These people are getting addicted. These
Well,
innocent.
is it Kratom?
It's
Is it
Kratom.
too?
Yeah, it is
Oh.
exactly. But people just don't. It does it say Kratom on there?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so
See,
people that really don't do their research.
Exactly. Like people, but it's like it's all natural botanicals. It is literally all.
yeah,
natural.
this is the issue, man. If we regulate things properly, these kinds of problems won't fucking happen so often.
Plant stuff. So people are like, oh, it's natural.
Yeah, that means nothing.
It doesn't mean nothing.
How much are you kidding me?
Half.
What do you usually take?
I would never take this shit. Oh, yum, yum.
That looks just like a regular extract that I would make. Like I used to make my own extracts all the time. Just like have like in like little fucking. This is easier to take a tincture than a fucking 5 grams of powder.
Smell it.
But I would make my own, so I would know exactly how potent it was. And
It's not that bad. Yeah, we'll see if I'm a pussy again, I guess. Guess your son's a pussy. Someone had to raise him, so.
Wait, we should know what time. Isn't it on your?
Yeah. Probably smells real sour.
Dude.
I'm the one staying home. Just give it. I'll do it all. No, just kidding.
It's not that
You would
horrific.
puke.
Oh, I don't want to puke. I don't like.
God, it's such a little amount. You might as well just add something to, literally add some orange juice. It'll kill all the flavor.
Yeah. And most people don't. Yeah.
Some people do.
Yeah, some people do. Yeah.
I gotta cut that out. That's crazy.
People do puke, but it's only when they take too much. When they try to go over that ceiling effect.
The unedited version.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Okay, technically them drinking it is doing drugs on camera, so I guess you can't do that.
That's.
But
Go ahead.
Okay. It tastes like vomit.
I mean, vomit is not an.
No.
It's kind of like.
Well, I guess yeah, it is an extract. The extracts they tend to use some kind of acidic thing because higher like a more acidic pH helps extract more of the alkaloid. So
Vomit, right?
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's
that
just not
sourness
Oh,
mixed
kinda
with the
numbs
already bitterness of it.
Oh, that's right, because I've had kava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do they put the kava with the kratom?
I mean,
That's mixed with kava too. Oh my god, kava is like sort of like nature's Valium, or like a. If you don't know what Valium is, it's just like similar to Xanax, but much tamer. But even then, like, yeah. That's what that shit is. It's kratom mixed with kava.
in the whole sell is that it's like just uber relaxing. So you have the kava feeling, which is like, you know, that alcoholic.
Yeah,
feeling.
kava is a little more. It literally just feels like you're drunk, but without the. I actually love kava because it feels like you're drunk, but without the head fogginess, like the mega cognitive impairment that's not present, and also no hangover, and it's got like a weird reverse tolerance thing. So like, the more you take it, the more the effects become more pronounced. Rather, like it's really weird. It's another weird plant.
Kratom, which is that opioid feel, right? So like combined.
Oh, I forgot it was like an opiate.
Yeah,
That could be good.
they do potentiate each other.
Oh.
So gross. It is exactly 8. We took it at 8. It has been 45 minutes.
Yeah, they're probably
What do you
feeling
feel?
nice.
My back hurt before. Not a lot, but it took that away. And I just feel chill.
Chill.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I feel very chill.
I don't feel like it's a dramatic change.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling like. I'm like, oh.
Just kind of takes the edge off.
Yeah.
He only took
Weirdly
half
enough,
too.
Usually I don't really feel the kava in this, but I feel the effects of kava right now. Yeah, the
Yeah, see?
recommended dose of this stuff isn't super strong.
That's what I'm saying. The kava, for some reason, it's like the more you take it, the more you feel it. Like, whereas with other things, the more you take it, the less you feel it because you build a tolerance. It's really weird.
And not to state the obvious, but I am a larger individual. And
True,
so,
true.
Just the facts. It's probably gonna be
Yeah.
a milder.
That's
No,
true.
she's right.
But I appreciate you not thinking of that when you gave me the dose.
Want to take more?
No. You want me to take more?
Kinda.
Just want to see you pass out.
You don't have to.
Just want to see
That's a
mom get
callback.
You
ripped.
think that's gonna work on me?
Yeah. I think it will. It didn't. So I'm just gonna take
Yeah.
a full bottle to show you guys what taking too much feels like and looks like while we rattle off some fun facts.
Let's
about
see if he
Kratom
gets
before
nauseous.
The true last section, which is 708.
Oh man.
Cheers. Patreon. Ugh. That's fucking disgusting. Okay, it's been an hour and a half. I'm feeling it pretty hard. Kind of nice. It's just a little too much. Like, I feel nauseous. I feel very irritable.
Yeah, I
like,
thought so.
The sound of my own voice is kind of annoying. Using Kratom for
Nauseous.
anxiety and depression. This is very much my own opinion. I don't think it's a very wise idea,
Yeah.
especially not for depression. As far as anxiety, it can have anxiolytic effects on the body. So some people do, especially in social situations where they want to calm down.
Green veins.
They use it similar to alcohol, where it just helps you unwind. But again, like, would you say alcohol is good for anxiety?
Yeah, green vein would be a good choice if you decided to go down that route. A green vein, but that's again, this is kind of where it's similar again to cannabis, where if you're about to go into a social setting, you usually don't want to pick an indica, especially something high in myrcene. Like, you want to go with something closer to a sativa or like a sativa dominant hybrid, you know. Or with Kratom, if you're about to go work out or something, you probably don't want to go with a red vein unless it's red, like red Thai or red Meng Da, because those are two unique red veins that are actually more energetic, and also have pretty good analgesic properties. So yeah, but what I'm saying, I wish we could like legalize Kratom in a way similar to weed. 'Cause I would love to have a fucking like Kratom dispensary type thing. It'd be cool.
Not really. I mean,
Oh, yeah, because they're
using
kava.
dr-
I mean, there are kava bars and shit, right? So like, I mean, minimum 21 plus. Like, I think it could work. You just have to be regulated.
drugs to deal with anxiety, depression, not a great idea,
Yeah.
in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Important note, it can also make those things worse. I've had worsened
True.
depression because of a dependence on Kratom. So
Yeah, it's the rebound.
That's not my recommendation. Can you overdose on Kratom?
No.
No and yes.
Yeah.
Because Kratom is an opioid, I think a lot of people assume that it will cause an overdose like another opioid, but as
No.
we discussed, it's an atypical opioid.
Yeah.
It is.
The only thing that you could maybe call an overdose on Kratom would be you puking your guts out because you took too much. That's pretty much it.
A partial agonist. So we don't find people doing a lot of Kratom and dying in the same way you do with like heroin or fentanyl.
Yeah.
In fact, this study, quote,
Anybody-
says, by any of our assessments, it appears
It's
that the
always
risk
been
of
a
overdose
mix.
death is 1,000 times greater for opioids than for Kratom.
Yeah.
So generally it is a very safe plan, especially when you're talking about the powder, but there is some reports of toxicity, but they are very few and
There have been 0 deaths attributed to Kratom alone. Again, just like cannabis. Every single death that has been reported in the news that has been Kratom linked or whatever, every single one of them had some other contributing substance. Usually it was another opioid or another like a benzo or some kind of thing. But yeah, Kratom was pretty much never the smoking gun.
far between. But honestly, even the reports that are like maybe Kratom did it, it's just so many of them are misreported. The Tampa Bay Times did this bullshit
time.
thing about hundreds died from Kratom, and then literally in the paper goes, of the 530 people who died from Kratom in Florida, over 3/4 involved fentanyl.
Eh?
I wonder if the Kratom is what killed him or the fentanyl. That's a puzzle we might never get.
Yeah.
Big caveat. I am not one of those guys that say Kratom is totally safe and most everything that's reported that's like a death or a toxicity is misreported. No. Nothing is 100% safe. I have no interest in making that claim. We will still be learning
No one
stuff
is making
about
that claim.
Kratom use as time goes on. I have no interest in trying to report to you that like it's safe and all this is fear-mongering bullshit. Most of it's fear-mongering bullshit, but some of it can be valid, and I think that's fine to admit. If you give the public paper,
Fair enough.
some of them always figure out how to cut themselves. That's just the public. People misuse stuff. People get
Lovely analogy. Perfect. Yeah.
hurt. It's just the nature of life. So, yes, I'm not going to delegitimize that there could be some concerns. There's also some health problems from heavy use that can affect your body that I've experienced. It might fuck up your sexual function, as it did for me. So, just
Yeah, opiates can do that a little bit.
important.
It's especially bad sometimes with methadone too. Really kills your libido. It can. There are some positives, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. That's a whole maybe for another day.
Since Kratom's addictive, can you use it without getting addicted? Yes. Millions of
definitely,
people
absolutely.
have used Kratom for literally hundreds of years without getting addicted. It's
Yep.
very possible.
Hundreds, thousands of years, bro. Try thousands.
That's why, like, watching those TikToks of all the people talking about the blue bottle, like, got them hooked and all that it's a little exhausting, and obviously I'm
Yeah.
high right now, so I'm not super empathetic right now, but you'd hear these stories of people saying, the blue bottle, like, I got addicted to this Kratom stuff, and at my height of my addiction, I was doing, like, 8 bottles a day. And like, just imagine if any other addict used that logic. If the gambler was saying, it's not my fault that I'm addicted to gambling, it's the casino's fault. Or if an alcoholic said, well, it's because alcohol is so addictive, that's why I'm addicted. It's like, none of us would accept that as true.
He seems to have the same pet peeve that I have with people blaming their substance for the problem. Like when they go, X drug ruined my life. It's like, no, bro. You ruined your own life by choosing to continue making certain decisions past the point of, already rock bottom and shit,
You just say you're not taking accountability. But I do have some sympathy because it is easier to quickly build a tolerance with these extracts because they're so potent as opposed to powder. That's why I do recommend if you're going to play with this stuff, powder. And
Yeah,
on the topic
just
of accountability,
stick with powder.
let's talk about 7OH and my addiction.
Here we go.
You know, sometimes I have back pain, you know, from just working, lifting shit in here, and I'm like, oh, maybe I want to take some. Then I see them come through the door. I'm like, no, you're not taking it.
Yep. Without being a judgy asshole, is there a look?
Yes.
Okay, what's the look?
The look is zoned out.
Oh, so they're high as they're coming. God
Yeah.
damn.
They're nodding
Maybe
off.
coming down, you
Yeah.
know, or maybe just needing the next one. So we get a container.
Hydroxy? The names, dude. Hydroxy. I've seen fucking, I've literally seen one called, like, Oxy. Just straight Oxy. God damn, dude. I've seen other ones that have, like, Perk or something in the name. It's fucking insane, dude. These companies are so irresponsible.
Like 20 of them.
Okay.
They're gone.
So you're saying people come in every day to get, or maybe every day, maybe every other day, regularly,
Yep.
to get a 10-pack.
100%. There's one dude that comes in every day for a 10-pack.
And they're paying so fucking much too, because they're not only are they paying extra because they're getting it from a smoke shop, they're paying for something that, like, it's just not worth it in any way whatsoever. Like, I mean, the dosages vary so much between companies, and like sometimes they have just 7-hydroxy, sometimes there's 7-hydroxy mixed with the pseudo. Now they have these MGM fucking compounds, and like
Yo, what the fuck? Me and him were talking about 7OH pills, which is the last phase of this Kratom evolution.
It was.
And 7OH is new. And I mean very new. I remember the first smoke shop I saw it in LA a year and a half
Yeah, see,
ago.
look right
and
there.
At this time, I remember the first
Perks. What I'm saying right there. Perks, hydroxy, opia. God. This. Oh God. It's very hard to not be upset when I see shit like this.
smoke shop I saw it in LA a year and a half ago. And at this time, maybe once or twice a week, me and my friends would take half a pill and just unwind and have a good time chilling. But then month after month, I saw that 7OH was in more smoke shops until it was in almost every smoke shop. And then it expanded even to every gas station. When I moved to Oregon, it was in literally every single smoke shop
Oh my
gas station I could see.
God.
There was signs. And as 7OH picked up more steam, so did my use of it. I went from doing half of a pill to maybe doing a full pill twice a week to, oh, I've earned it, maybe a pill every other day. And then it got to the point where I was doing a pill every single night before I went to sleep. Here's just some of the packaging I've collected over the last few months. Yikes. And as we just heard, some people have had
That's got to be hard to taper off of too, because you're not able to weigh out the doses, especially like. I mean, I guess if you're able to get your hands on some like ultra enhanced Indo or whatever, you can slowly taper yourself off the tablets and get back onto the powder, and then taper from there. And it's a process. You could do it, but like, why even bother getting to that point? You know.
addiction where they're doing 10 pills every single day.
Just
but even at my
get
smaller addiction of
educated.
one
That's
pill a
it.
day, when I decided to stop,
It's 3 a.m. My body is in so much pain.
Yeah.
It feels like how I'd imagine 90s feels, like every joint, bone in my body, all the sores and all.
Like, he's experiencing legit, like, this is straight up withdrawal. I would have plenty of sympathy for with anybody, because this is 7-hydroxy mitragynine is more potent than morphine. So this is a worse withdrawal than morphine withdrawal.
Like, it's just like, I'm gonna try to get to sleep. I don't think I'm gonna fall asleep very good, but
withdrawal syndrome, my good old friend. I tracked every day of my withdrawal, describing the feeling, and if you guys want, I can post a video on my second channel, Very Niche Meta, about the process. Withdrawal is, it's not as scary as a lot of people think. Most people actually can relate to the feeling. It depends on the substance and how deep you are and how long. That's not what I want to talk about right now.
Yeah. With opiates, it's still different, though, because there's the physical part and then there's the psychological part. The physical part ends relatively quickly. The psychological part is the real battle, in my opinion. That's where it can last up to years for people. Like post-addiction withdrawal syndrome. Like that, it can. Some people will deal with it for only a few months. Some people will deal with it for fucking decades.
What I want to talk about is the symptoms that I described and felt were runny nose, body aches and pains, couldn't fall asleep. Those are symptoms of an opioid withdrawal. But the problem with that is that 7-OH is not kratom. 7-OH doesn't have any mitragynine, that atypical opioid in it. So what the fuck is 7-OH?
It's mitragynine, but just slightly altered chemically. So that slight alteration makes it a full agonist, causing it to fully activate that receptor, which mitragynine, as he explained earlier, does not do. So it does not get you to the same level.
As far as like how 7-hydroxy is actually like made in the
7-hydroxy
say,
doesn't
in
have the
America,
ceiling effect.
Is it usually the
that
same way of just they
mitragynine
get
does.
mitragynine? They'll just get like the mitragynine from kratom, and then they convert that in like mass amounts, and then put that in.
Nope, it's synthesized. Well, it's made synthetically in labs now. Like they I don't know how they figured it, but they figured out a way to make it synthetically, and now they make it in bulk
pills.
Exactly. So, and that's what we call like a semi-synthetic, because the mitragynine was extracted from the plant and then we convert it.
This is my new friend Ariana. She's a very talented chemist.
So then there's semi-synthetic. A bunch of semi-synthetics of being converted. So it's the same way that morphine is made into heroin. They isolate the morphine out of the opium. They just what's it called? They react it with, I'm not going to say the precursor, and you get yourself diacetyl morphine. So I think I know what precursor they use probably to make 7-hydroxy mitragynine, because I mean it's a simple thing. Like I mean I didn't stay with my chemistry major for very long before I ultimately dropped out, but it's pretty simple to understand for the most part. I mean, little alterations to a chemical can make huge differences in subjective effects. And adding a simple hydroxyl group to mitragynine at that specific, the 7 indicates the position that the hydroxyl group, which is a certain formation of atoms, the 7 don't notates whatever where the group is attached to a specific carbon atom on the skeleton of mitragynine. And out of that, they're making now other, seems like, fully synthetic mitragynine compound, well, mitragynine analogs, MGM15, whatever that I talked about a second ago. I wonder if I'll make a video out of that later.
Who has actually worked in these labs where 7-O is made.
Oh,
now, what 7-O
fascinating.
is actually a slang term that has kind of came up over the last year or so
Yeah.
for the full name of this chemical, which is
7-hydroxymitragynine.
You might hear that name and think, oh, 7-O must be related to mitragynine based on the name, and you would be correct. You see, mitragynine, or kratom, when you consume it, part of that mitragynine actually gets converted into 7-hydroxymitragynine.
And some of it is already present. It's just a very, very small amount of it. Like certain strains of it, like the red. That's why I was saying red strains are more efficient or more effective for analgesia because they contain more 7-hydroxymitragynine.
Mitragynine by your body, and 7-O, 7-hydroxymitragynine, is another partial mu-opioid receptor agonist, similar to mitragynine, but it is stronger. So in the spirit of our hyper-capitalistic, always finding the better, best, most...
More recent studies show that it's more likely a full agonist.
Potent high, we made 7-OH from mitragynine, which was already fucking strong. And why exactly it's stronger than mitragynine, I don't know. I think it's got something to do with the affinity versus the efficacy on the mu-opioid receptor. Tried to read studies on it. Honestly, I don't really know too much about that stuff yet. I'll get there, but right now, reading it now, I'm just...
Even I am on a pretty surface level understanding on some of this, but
well, that's a lot of numbers I don't understand. But it's stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. And I'm not excited to try it. I don't care, actually. I don't.
Liar.
Okay, let's try it.
Liar.
It works, haha. Kind of. Okay, so since the government is trying to schedule 7.0 as a Schedule 1 substance,
Yeah.
I don't want any smoke with the government or YouTube.
Yeah, and if that happens, that's scary because if they do that, they're essentially criminalizing kratom. Because 7-hydroxymethylgynine is naturally occurring in kratom. It's not just semi-synthetically produced.
I'm not going to do or try anything right now. But hypothetically, if I were to be doing something right now, which I'm not, it would be a 20 milligram tablet of 7.0, which doesn't matter because that's not what I'm doing.
And that should also go to show how much more potent these MGM-15 compounds are, because as we saw, the average dosage on those was, it said, what, 10.9 milligrams, which is half of this. So that would, what, say it's at least twice the potency. So it's only gonna get worse. I know in another stream I've talked about the nitazines and like protonitazine and metonitazine and how freaking potent those benzimidazole are, but seems like clandestine labs are gonna go that way with kratom now too. Just fucking lovely. This is all a product of the drug war.
I'm doing nothing right now. That's a tasty drink. Can't prove shit. Okay, it has been 25 minutes, and I am feeling it.
Yeah, I like this guy.
Hypothetically. One of the first signs is, goodness gracious, I am itchy.
Yeah, that's opiate. That classic opiate symptom, itchiness.
So itchy. Everything. I feel almost a bit energized, but also relaxed.
The histamine receptors.
I'm very hot. Actually, I don't even want this blanket anymore.
Yeah.
Very irritable, but I'm feeling very good. It's a strong feeling of euphoria, of relaxation, of like a really good old big hug. But
it's a nice fuzzy,
just hearing my voice
warm.
is kind of annoying. When I get like this, I actually, personally, any empathy that I do have, goes out the window.
When I first, like at high school, started becoming familiar with opiates and stuff, especially, one of the things I most loved about it is the feeling of I don't give a fuck. I remember just like walking down to the neighborhood spot where we would call the chill spot, where all my friends, we'd all hang out and shit. And I remember one of the first times a friend of mine, Darian, gave me an oxy, and walking to the chill spot, and like halfway there, it really started hitting me. And I remember just kind of walking down the street, looking at like I was walking past like a middle school I used to go to, and I'm like, just looking at the school, looking around, just feeling like, just felt like $1,000,000 fucking bucks, man. That should have been my first sign to know that, like, do not keep doing this shit, bro. I loved opiates way too much.
Become very irritable and just kind of dismissive.
Yes.
Okay, it's been an
I got
hour.
like that too.
Fucking hot. I have major dry mouth. Even more irritable. I just kind of feel like a dick. So itchy. A bit of nausea. And I don't have any tolerance.
Benzos also did that to me a lot.
20 milligrams is a bit of a high dose, so I'm really feeling it. And doing this whole filming thing right now is actually really difficult. This is like the 20th take of this one sentence. I just get really scatterbrained on this stuff. And I know you're thinking, when does the fun part start? It's hard to describe because it's this feeling of peace that I really can't describe.
He's already
This
feeling the
optimism,
fun
but
part.
also this indifference. So what I think would be fun is while I'm in this altered state, hypothetically, to clarify, this is a bit of a bit because I'm not actually doing anything illegal whatsoever. If I were admitting to anything, which I'm not, I'm just like, I'm in a state where it's totally legal. It's currently illegal right now. I'm just
I'm not admitting to anything. I'm just saying if I was admitting to something, it
Gotcha,
would
bro.
actually be
We got
illegal.
it. We
Let's
got
talk about what we should do as a culture or government about this Kratom stuff or extracts or 7-0, because I have some ideas that I think you might like.
So sorry, last interjection. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. You know, what the fuck do I know? I just wanted to, you know, this is just what I think. I could be wrong.
As far as Kratom powder or Kratom leaf or unprocessed Kratom, I think it should stay legal.
Yes.
But I would add 2 caveats: an age restriction of 18 plus.
Agree.
And a warning label saying, warning, this stuff is addictive. Similar to how we have that on
Agreed.
nicotine products.
I could vibe with that.
It is a natural, unprocessed leaf that is objectively useful in a lot of cases with a very good safety profile. Also, the last thing
1000%.
we need to be doing in the middle of an opioid epidemic where people are actually dying from things being laced with fentanyl is remove a safer alternative for these people to get out of their addiction. But also, not everything has to have a medicinal reason for it being legal. I think it's worth saying it's my right if I want to just have fun with this stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Which is okay to do. And to address the addictive point, yes, Kratom powder can be addictive for some people. But reminder, just because something can be addictive does not mean that it is inherently bad or dangerous. Nicotine is very
Drugs don't ask to be used.
addictive. But generally speaking, it's also pretty safe. Many of you are addicted to caffeine and will have withdrawal if you stop cold turkey. Does that mean that it's killing you or ruining your life? No. And just like we discussed earlier, it takes time for a culture or society to settle down with a new substance they get introduced to. Next, Kratom shots and Kratom extracts. Because they are so accessible and convenient and potent,
it
can lend themselves to
restricted
getting
much
people
more.
addicted much faster. The general population who wouldn't ordinarily maybe get addicted to something like Kratom powder. So even though they're the same compounds, they can be inherently more addictive because of that convenience.
I think similar to cannabis concentrates, they should be clearly labeled. Obviously, it should be abundantly clear that this is Kratom. Not just Kratom, but a highly concentrated form of it. Just that. And at the very minimums, the same age restriction, if not maybe is that up 21? I'd be okay with 21 personally. But yeah. And then as far as 7-OH, 7-hydroxy, I think that'd be a great medication, like for prescription.
Personally, I think an 18 plus, also a warning label of this can be addictive.
Yeah.
And based on my political views, that's where I would stop. I think there's personal accountability. Sometimes people get addicted to stuff. That's on them. That's not on blaming it on the drug. Like,
Yeah.
that's
At that point, it's the responsibility, in my opinion, of government, society, to be there, step in, and help the human being, not fucking criminalize them.
on them. But let's say you're more conservative and that's not enough. I have a great alternative for you. You can treat it like ephedra. Ephedra is another psychoactive plant that if you make a tea out of this, it is very exhilarating. This is actually where we get
Ephedra is where he's literally going to say this word right now, but meth, amphetamines.
meth from originally. It's like coffee, but way more intense. And this is 100% legal to own in America. But
Yeah.
if you make an extract like this from this,
Ephedra, stuff that you can only get over the counter now because they used to make meth out of it.
this is not. From my understanding, this is not illegal to own, but you cannot have marketing claims like advanced fat burner or good for energy or any of those advertisements. That's illegal to
Because they used to, and it was killing people.
protect the public. You can do the same with Kratom. You can make them stop saying things like be happy or relief or all this shit. You can just make them say, this is Kratom, period.
Yeah.
And with a massive warning of this contains Kratom, can be addictive, I think that would single-handedly save a lot of people who don't do their research from unsuspectingly getting hooked on this.
In other words, proper drug reform and proper regulation.
And if you're really, really conservative, you can make it so you have to have a license to sell this, kind of like cannabis, but you know.
And if you're really, 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 really conservative and fascist, you can just go fuck yourself.
If you're that conservative, I don't know. I don't think you're watching the video. But those are solutions that
True.
I wouldn't totally be against. And lastly, 7-OH. What do we do? It's worth noting what I'm feeling right now. This is not Kratom. Kratom has a certain feel. This feels honestly like a typical opioid. If you were to give me this say, hey, that's a
well, it's more along the lines of a tip. Yeah, it acts more like a typical opioid in almost every sense.
Norco, or that's an oxy. I'd go, okay, that sounds about right. That's what I'm feeling. So to put them in the same category as Kratom is just unfair. This is just a different.
But like you said, like he just said, if you were to tell somebody like this is Norco, which is hydrocodone, they would believe it. So, in that same vein, being that hydrocodone is I think Schedule 2 or 3 medication, I don't see any problem in placing 7-hydroxy there, if said Kratom is left alone, obviously. But 7-hydroxy on its own, we'd be totally fine with seeing it regulated as like a medication. And the MGM-15 shit, the MGM substances that are coming out, hopefully those don't go too crazy, because that's really going to lead to problems if we're already having problems with the 7-hydroxy products.
Level. This is a hard one, and honestly, this is where I get a little conservative, because I agree. I think the 708 shit is kind of fucked. I think having pills that are this addictive at like every gas station
with no regulation,
it's a bit much. Like I honestly, it's a bit much.
It's
don't
irresponsible.
Love that. I think something needs to be done. But I think scheduling it to Schedule 1 is the most R-worded
way
thing
overboard.
they could have done. I thought we were all on the same page here. I thought we all agreed that the war on drugs is fucking stupid and doesn't work.
It's
it does
failed.
Not stop people from doing drugs.
Yeah.
It is just a stupid idea that didn't work, and now we're doing it again. Reminder that Schedule 1...
We never stopped doing it. It's always been a failure. Like, drugs won the war on them a long time ago, and all it's doing now is perpetuating black markets. And
drug classification is by definition for drugs that have little to no medicinal value at all.
Yeah.
And 7-OH definitely has a fuck ton of medicinal value.
Cannabis is still
illegal,
Schedule 1.
So much good research from going into how we can use this stuff as an alternative to opiates, which is exactly what we need right now. And on the off chance that you are a government member or a senator watching this right now, listen to me very carefully. If we make 7-OH illegal, we are about to put a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people's lives at risk.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you...
And you're about to open up a whole new market for a whole new class of drugs that are going to get so much more potent. Trust me. I watched it happen with the benzimidazole starting in 2018. Now we have a whole new fucking class of drugs that are just as, if not up to 1,000 times as potent as fentanyl.
Exactly how. If we make the molecule 7-hydroxymitragynine illegal, what chemists will do is they will look at that compound and say, got it, that's technically illegal. But if I add a fluorine group here, or a methyl group here, or a slight...
Fluorine group. And what did we literally just find? MGM-16 fluorinated. Literally. That's exactly what they already did.
We tweak this molecule a little bit, so it's not technically 7-OH anymore. Then I can put it on the shelves and sell that because it'll give a similar high. But the problem is we don't know anything about this chemical because it's a brand new chemical. It could have unknown risks. That's called a research chemical. And why I know that's going to happen is because that has already happened. Once they ban 7-OH, that's no problem because MGM-15, a new...
I love this man. I love this man. I have a new favorite drug guy. Okay, I did not expect that. Okay, hold on. My camera just fucked up. There we go. I don't know what happened there, but... Woo! Boy. I was not expecting this man to do this, but... Alright, I'm going to shut up for the rest of this and just let this...
that has a
I'm going to let him cook.
Is going to come and take its place. And do you know the safety profile of MGM-15? Because I don't.
Yeah. MGM-16 is apparently the fluorinated one.
So, Senator, you might be thinking, well, then we'll just ban that. Okay. Well, then they're going to go and make MGM-16.
They did.
Or MGM-18 or fluorine MGM or whatever. And the chase just happens, and it's going to get farther and farther and more in mystery and dangerous until we're taking stuff that we have absolutely no idea what it is doing in our body. And how I know that'll happen is that is exactly what happened with K2 Spice back in the early 2000s.
Yes, JWH 018. That was the very first fucking synthetic cannabinoid that was out there. That was the original spice, JWH 018. That one was actually pretty benign. It felt like a back in the day what we call Reggie weed, like just like the dirt weed, and it was pretty nice. But as soon as that shit got made illegal, I remember the next time I tried some shit that was branded K2 was years later here in Vegas. The first time I tried it was in Arizona, and it was the JWH stuff. I remember we could go to a smoke shop and buy it for $5 a gram. Yeah. But sorry.
Google it. We don't really have time to explain that because I want to give you solutions that could actually help.
Oh God. What is it with this?
Help this situation. First one off the top of my head, you can make it so you need a license to sell 708 products. This would immediately restrict a ton of small mom and pop shops from even trying to sell 708, which would drastically decrease the accessibility of 708. So it's not at every gas station. So it's not at every smoke shop. You would have to go to a certain place to get it. Second idea, taxing the fuck out of it. Third idea, you can actually treat it similar to Sudafed, the stuff that people used to use to make meth.
There you go.
You can put a cap on how much someone can buy per day or per week or per month. No, I actually kind of like that idea.
Yeah, these aren't bad ideas.
If you have an alternative idea, put it in the comment section. I'm sure there's tons of problems with the solutions I just gave, but I know for a fact that they're better than scheduling it as Schedule 1. At the bare minimum, schedule it at Schedule 4 so people can actually put research into understanding how we use this stuff. Like Schedule 4, that's what tramadol's in, which is another opioid analgesic. It's an atypical opioid. Living through something getting scheduled like this, that I've tried and all that, is just so fucking weird because you understand how bullshit the scheduling is.
Yeah, dude.
And how
I wonder if he was familiar with Kratom in 2018 when the first scare happened, when they were trying to outright ban Kratom. Not just an alkaloid of it. They wanted to ban the whole fucking plant.
it's just, they didn't do any research on this. They don't understand a fucking thing about this stuff. They literally just go, oh, there's a problem. Let's do the dumbest, easiest solution we can think of, which is Schedule 1. I'm also
And if the DA was bad enough already before this, now we have fucking RFK's fucking brainworm ass at the head of the health department, and like, it's ridiculous.
I'm just scared for all the people who are really deep in their 7-OH addiction, and then
They're opiate addictions. Period. Like, I mean, there's a group that I follow specifically of people using 7-OH who were. They talk about it a lot in there, and I mean, while many of them did use it to kind of get off of much stronger opioids, now they're dealing with that, and I don't know. It's tough. 'Cause at the end of the day, this is all born out of the drug war, and out of failures of the government to properly handle these things and properly treat people who need the help.
I'm going cold turkey. Like I'm assuming that a lot of them will go to the street and get some fent and heroin to get their, so they don't have to go through withdrawal. Like this is like,
Or they're gonna go get a pill that they think is oxycodone, but it's actually just a fent press. Because you have no idea how fucking disgustingly common those are now. And even pressed Xanax pills, so many of them are fucking like unintentionally laced with fent. Like, drug dealers don't intentionally lace their drugs with like fentanyl and stuff. If they do, it'd be in extremely tiny amounts, and probably for somebody that they already know is using an opiate. Because if they did it for somebody who was opiate naive, they're just killing their own customers. And they don't want that. They want money. So, like, I mean, just regulating the stuff, making sure that people are getting clean products, and like when they need them and are ready to get the services, treatment is there and is ready. But instead, you know, you gotta fucking criminalize everybody and make everything surrounded around profit.
Serious.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They just don't.
No.
And that's the problem.
Yep.
They just don't care. In other news, I will be in Peru for the next few months studying ethnobotany. So this channel is going to have a lot of cool upcoming videos about the ethnobotany of coca, of ayahuasca,
good shit,
of Amazonian tribes and cultures. So if you're in Peru, if you're in Iquitos, or if you're in Lima or Cusco, hit me up, please. I'm trying to have every connection I possibly can.
Great video,
make
man.
Friends, do cool videos. If you're part of a cool culture that you want to represent, please let me know. Or if you know someone, like, please. Peace.
Yeah, all right. Meta Beshe. I have never seen this guy. It's fucking awesome. This is banger video. Fucking 10 out of 10. Absolutely banger.